that is here today to start conversations this morning. Having said that, Rigo, you ready?
I'm ready.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you, Byron. Good morning. I have to turn both ways. Buenos días. It is my pleasure to be here today to talk to you for a few minutes about data coaching. And as you have heard already, my name is Rigoberto Rincones, and I am the National Director of Data Coaching. And I have been with Achieving the Dream for 5 years now. And every time I have the opportunity to speak to a new group of schools, like here today, to you, I feel very happy because happy and accomplished as an individual and as a professional. I know that as a result of your work, many students' lives are going to be positively impacted. Thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands. And I would like to thank you once again for being here today and help more students succeed. Going back to data coaching, one of the things that I do is to oversee the work of all the data coaches across the initiative. We now have 36 data coaches working with 160 institutions, as you have heard already. I also have worked as a data coach with 5 colleges, 3 in Texas, 1 in South Carolina, and I will continue to work with the Community College of the District of Columbia in Washington, D.C. All right, next I would like for you to please turn to tab 1, the very beginning of tab 1 in your notebook. And in that page, this is just a housekeeping item. The last column of that table, please disregard that column when we talk about the enrollment. Those numbers are off. And please don't worry, we'll fix them. And if you see any other thing in the notebook that you believe we can improve, please let us know. We want to make the notebook even bigger for next year's group. No, just kidding. All right, so having said that, please turn to page 4 in that tab, page 4, and you will see a document that looks like the one shown on the screen, entitled A Closer Look at Data Coaching Practice. In this document, you will find detailed information about the data coaching process, and I will invite you to read it when you have a time. We have a pop quiz tomorrow morning, so if you, no, just kidding. Yeah. Seriously, please read the document. We provide a lot of information about what happens, when it happens, who is involved, about the data coaching process. And this is just a snapshot of some of the events and milestones that will take place during the first 2 years of your involvement with Achieving the Dream. Some of these events, by the way, will repeat as you continue with us in subsequent years. In this case, you are going to see topics such as the roles and responsibilities of the data coaches, the competencies that each of our data coaches bring, and it also depicts the values that we bring and embrace while doing our work. Before I continue, I would like for our data coaches to raise your hand so we can see, where are you? I was planning to ask you to stand up, but no. I think it would be unfair with the coaches, our colleagues, the coaches. So I just wanted to say a few words about the data coaches. And these people are some of the best professionals from around the country in areas such as institutional research, planning, effectiveness, developmental education, and evaluation, to name a few. As I said before, we have a cadre of 36 data coaches working with us. Each of them has been carefully selected, trained, mentored, and assigned to each of your institutions. They follow the highest standards of work and ethic and practice. I am personally grateful to the work that each of you do and all your hard work and dedication. So thank you for everything that you do, guys. I appreciate it. Now, let's talk a little bit more about data coaching itself. And I would like to do that by telling you a story that I told last year during this same meeting. with a different group of people. Several folks told me, just tell that story again next year. And this is what happened. Last year, I was getting ready for this meeting while having supper with my wife and daughter and a friend of ours. Our friends asked the question, so I was supposed to click before when I talk about my data coach. Sorry about that. Anyway, so my question asked, what is data coaching? Our friend asked, what is data coaching? You talk about what you do and you are traveling all the time, so what is data coaching? So for a second, on page 2 of that document that I mentioned to you, you have this wonderful, comprehensive, and detailed definition of data coaching. And I thought, well, yeah, we can go through this and read the whole thing, but no, that's not what I'm going to do. Instead, what I'm going to do is just to break it down in small pieces, so my daughter can also understand, what that it does. And anyway, so I started just by posing the question: do you know when I travel so frequently to these different places? That's because each of us, the data coaches, will spend up to 12 days during the first year with each of our institutions, and these 12 days will translate into 2 site visits, 2 in the spring, 2 in the fall, and 2 in the spring. And in addition, before we do the site visit and between the site visits, we do a lot of email communications, phone calls, and sometimes we use web conferences. So that's with that. Then during this site visit, what we do is that we meet and work with the presidents, with the core and data teams, and these teams bring together vice president, deans, faculty, students, and sometimes board members. During these conversations, we try to make things much easier and effective as possible. But by the way, one key thing, and I believe Byron mentioned it in some ways, that we don't dominate the conversation, we facilitate the conversation. You are going to do all the work, but we are going to be there to help you do the work. And when we do that, we will help you create or maintain a culture of inquiry and evidence and accountability. And while we do that, we have a dual role. Your data coaches will have a dual role. One of a technical advisor and one of a change agent. So as a technical advisor, we will share our extensive experience and knowledge on research and evaluation methodologies. And as a change agent, we will combine coachings and group process strategies to lead and work with people from different departments. One of the things that you will hear a lot, not just in these 2 days, but as you continue your work with us, is faculty involvement. It's key to the success of achieving the dream, to have as many faculty involved in this process as possible. So our friend at that question, she asked, so are you like, do you do a work like an engineer's type of work? And I said, well, it's sort of. You see, we don't design any objects or buildings or highway. Instead, what we do is that we help the teams, the core and data teams, to assemble what we call an implementation plan. And this will take place during the first year. You're going to do a lot of data analysis, and we will help you frame that implementation plan, which is due. I believe that is going to be your first document. The first document due to us is your implementation plan. And we will guide each of your institutions through this extensive process again of data extraction and analysis and use. Now, we are going to ask a lot of questions. I know you will be asking your own questions, but we are going to ask a lot of questions, and sometimes these are going to be really tough questions. Then my daughter says, so are you going to be asking questions like a detective? And I say, well, honey, no, not really, but we are going to ask key questions, particularly the what, the why, the how do you know, and so what. So remember these questions: the what, the why, how do you know, and so what. The what is what are the challenges of your students, which are the challenges they are facing and that are not making them succeed and get better grades. And why do you think that is happening? We are going to encourage you to also ask them why they think that is happening. And then once you have looked at your data and come up with this implementation plan, and you are going to make suggestions about let's pursue this intervention, we are going to ask you, how do you know? Where is the data that tells you that that's the best way for you to go? And once you have that data, we are going to ask you, so what? You know, what's next? Once again, we're going to be there all the way with you to help you step by step. So, with all these questionings, all these research methodologies, said my friend, so are you kind of like a scientist? And I said, well, you know, sort of. We use very effective research methodologies, like focus group, for example, and proven tools for gathering and using qualitative data to understand the reason why the students are not succeeding. And I continue, once the college has all the information about their students, we help them make decisions about what to do next. Again, we are going to involve everybody. You at your college, when you are back home, you are going to involve many people, student representatives, faculty, staff, senior administrators, the president, etc. And then I said, you know, honey, to my daughter, they are going to make judgments with this information. And then she said, so our president, like judges, do they send people to jail? I say, no. What they do is that they together with their core and data teams, and they're going to make these decisions or judgments about what strategies will help their students, you know, graduate and take a course and pass with a C or better. And to a certain point, they're going to decide whether to scale up or not, to involve more students with these interventions. And I remember a Texan saying that goes like this: it is okay to spill the milk, but what is important is not to lose the cow. So, when you are trying these interventions, it is okay if you fail. What is important is to keep going, to keep looking at more data, to keep involving more people, and keep trying, and just look at the result, and use the help that you will have with your coaches and your data coaches to get your students succeed. That's what is important. And by the way, that's my daughter. She's 8 years old. She's the one asking all the questions. So I hope that with this short story, I kind of told you what data coaching is all about. Once again, I invite you to take a look at the document that we all data coaches kind of put together for your benefit. And once again, I personally welcome and thank you for being here today. Thank you very much.
Okay, why don't you hang around here? We go. Let's see if there are any questions. Now, I think we've got microphones at the back. If anything that we've covered in this session raised a question, let's take a moment and hear what those questions might be. Anybody at all have something you'd like to pursue based on what you've just heard about the role of coaches and data coaches? Anywhere? You just want a little break early, don't you? Last chance. Okay, we're going to take a little break. Let me ask you, I'm sorry, got one.
Mine isn't a question, but an observation.
Right.
It wasn't apparent by either presentation, at least not to me, that the data coach and the strategy coach typically goes to the college as a team and works together there in consultation when they're on the campus with the core and data team, working very closely with building that collaborative effort throughout the period of the activities. And we are in consultation with each other before we arrive, and then after we get there, we usually debrief with each other. And so I just wanted to say that we're not separate entities. It's a teamwork between the data and strategy coach as well.
Great clarification. Thank you, Christine. Anybody else? Question, comment, clarification. That's helpful. Okay, we're going to take a break, and let me ask you to be back in your seats, ready to go at 9:40.
That's comfortable.
Yeah.